Hey, Dave, welcome to the shop. I got my earmuffs on so I can't hear you, but let you know, I'm on this roll with this crappy beach filled with bug holes, and the surface of the boards look great, except the bugs got all through the interior of it, so as soon as you plane them, they turn into Bug City. I'll show you what I mean. I cut some strips, planed a piece down, cut some strips, and I got this. It's a mess, but there's something about it that's attractive, and so I'm going to try to use this to make a little tray, kind of like a little miniature Zen garden plot for sculpturing bits of, say, gravel and grit and whatnot, because we've got rocks. You know, not everything's supposed to make a lot of sense. Anyway, so I've got this. I'm going to route the top corners of it because I want them a little bit round, because this is kind of not very good, sharp. But it's a quick project. Let's get going on it. So I want to put a round edge on this stuff, and I just want it rounded. I don't even know how thick this stuff is. I just ran it through the planer. It's more than a ½ inch, less than 3/4. It's about all I know. I want to put a little bit of an edge on it, like I say, to round the corners off a little bit. Got a little round over bit in the router. I'm afraid of it going in too far. As you round two bits, sometimes the bearing loses a place to run, so I put a fence on it. This is my upside down router in a piece of plywood clamped to the edge of the bench. You've seen this before. So let's get going on this. Okay. Okay, so that little bit of noise is over. You can see the point of this thing, right? All I want to do is sand this thing. I could have just sanded it as it was square, but I want to do a good job of sanding so that it isn't picking at little people's skin and whatnot. So this right here gives me a great start for doing a little quick round over. Now my next mission is to sand all of these things left and right and the top, do a round over. Get all 8 pieces, because I want to make 2 of these things. Need 4 pieces for each one. They don't have to be very big. They're desktop units, so they'll be, I don't know, 8 by 14, something like that. 8 by 8, 9 by 14. You know, we'll see. That'll happen. These are really simple. Before I assemble them, I'm just going to miter the corners and glue and put some brads in. And the bottoms, I'm going to put a little rabbet in so that I can glue a piece of 1/4 plywood in. Then get some finish on it and get it home, because it's a quick project. But this worked out well so far. You see the whole router table thing. I can get my fingers right in, because this stuff is flexible. I want to be able to hold it down so it doesn't chatter. So I can hold my finger right there. I don't have to worry about the blade jumping out at me. Nothing really can go, well, I'm sure something can go wrong. It never has. And that's really where I'm going to go. Nothing's happened bad yet, so I'm going to keep on doing it till then. See you in a bit. Little table saw project coming up. Some sanding. You'll love it. Alright, we've seen this all before, but it's sanding. with all of the wormholes in this and the dust that the worms leave, you know, worm shit behind them, there's not an awful lot of opportunity to do a lot of good sanding. It's going to start getting really, really textured, ropey surface. I need something to get this top edge a little bit better than that. I think I'm going to hand sand it. I've got some 180 paper somewhere, I believe. That's 220. This is 180. This will be great. I think I'll be able to do this. Although I probably want to take that burn spot off. I think I'll use a machine to do that. Let's see how that goes. That worked. Good. Good. I love it when it works. So now it's just getting these corners round. Now you can see I've got a flaw right here. I'm going to start grading this stuff just so I know where not to cut. Just so I know. Alright, so I don't have to sand that either, because I know I'm going to cut that. I think that's it. That is the limit of that. So, next stick. This is going to become extremely boring. I'm reminded as I'm doing this that, you know, I am quality control. Just so I know. This has got a knot down at this end, which I don't really mind, other than I'm not going to get the surface very good around it. So I'm going to let myself know that there's a knot here also. Not that I'm not going to like do the final processes in these things blind. But you know how when you start going on something, I won't say you go blind, but sometimes you start focusing on the wrong thing. And the little things that you could have known if you were thinking sort of slip by. Yeah, so that's... Hopefully Red Magic Marker will take care of that problem. Oh, wow. This isn't, these are challenging. That's a bad spot. And this right here, all that means is this has to be the inside of the rabbit. I'll let myself know if there's a problem. Right there. All right. So. I'm going to continue to do this for a while. 5 more pieces. You don't really have to watch. You can go for coffee. Snap the cap. Depends what time it is, I guess. It's not quite beer 30 here. But that's the thing about time zones, right? It's got to be beer 30 somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to get a ruler. Starting to have a little concern as to how big these pieces are going to end up. Oh, that's 16 inches. I can get 16 out of this one. 16, which will net me 15 inside, which is an inch more than I really think I need. Great. Great. Okay. It's funny, these are going to be the short ones. The short ones are, well, going to end up being about the same size as the long ones because of the amount of decay. It's fun, right? We're doing this because it's fun. I don't know that I'd want to try to make a living doing something like this, but right now, for what I'm doing, it's fun. So here we go, another one. All right. You know, and I know you don't know what I'm thinking right now. You know what I'm thinking right now? No, I don't, Dave. What are you thinking right now? I'm thinking I'm going to give these a coat of shellac before I leave, before I even assemble them. The only parts that I'm going to need, because, okay, typically you don't want to start your finishes until you're further along in the project, because you don't want the finishes to interfere with the glue. Because I'm going to glue the corners together. I'm going to glue the plywood bottom in. But I haven't mitered these things, so there'll be no finish on that where I'm going to miter it. I haven't rabbited for the plywood, so there'll be no finishes on where I rabbit for the plywood. In other words, I could shellac these, get my first coat of shellac on. Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to get ahead like that? I don't know that I'm going to get far enough to glue these tonight before I go home. Because it's, you know, it is getting close to beer 30. But I also don't want to, I don't want too much of this bug poop, beetle poop, larva poop to fall out. I mean, I don't mind the occasional little hole, but part of the fun of this is that the tunnels and trails that they cut are filled, packed with their sawdust. And if I seal it, then any amount of extra shaking or banging around that I do will, the stuff will be sealed in and it won't fall out. I won't end up with more holes than I really am looking forward to. Again, I'm not going to, I did a piece one time where I filled the holes because there were a lot of holes and I just thought filling them would be fun. The color didn't work out. It wasn't that smart. I don't mind a few holes, but I would like to get this stuff, you know, sealed so that it doesn't fall out. So I'm going to seal it before I go home. That's what I'm going to do. So let's keep rolling here. This is great. We got 3 more to do. Bring you back. It's going to be great. Okay, so got a used brush, but that'll be fine. Got some pieces of sheet metal that I'm going to use as stands to hold this stuff. That's great. I'm going to put a glove on so I can handle these things and not get fingerprints on them. I don't really give a damn. Forget that. All right, so some shellac. This is clear shellac. I sometimes use amber. This isn't one of those times. I don't know if you remember, I did an amber shellac on a project a while ago. One of these things, right? A thing like this, made out of this stuff. And oh yeah, I know, it was a tray. And I used the amber on that. Didn't all work out that well. The amber, the colorant, I mean, it's not really colored, but the parts of the amber shellac that make it amber soaked into some spots more than others, and just sort of set up a little bit of color interplay that I hadn't been anticipating. I didn't like it. So there. I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but I am saying I'm not going to do it this time. You know that old expression, live and learn, right? Well, you should at least pretend like you're learning. You don't have, I'm working this way too hard. It's challenging to get a good uniform coat on this, but that's the last thing I need is a good uniform coat. I'm going to sand this. The one thing I know for sure is the shellac is going to cause some parts of this assembly of wood and sawdust, digested wood and sawdust. This shellac is going to make some parts of it swell, and other parts of it have the grain stand right up on end. So I'm going to sand it. So therefore, I could probably dip these things and do as good a job. But here I am. It'll dry uniformly. I won't have wet spots if I brush it out correctly. That's good. Who likes wet spots? This has got all the charm of having watching the paint dry, except, well, it'll dry off camera. So what's the point of this? The point is that with the wood is providing drama. The wood's kind of like not even a silent, a partner in the design, you know, the presentation. The wood is quite varied in its surface and color and all of that. So that variation adds to the visual interest of the piece, which means I don't have to be the world's greatest designer, designing the most interesting things in the world. I just have to be able to wrangle this wood and share with the wood a little bit of the design, so that it's not me doing great work, because I don't really care. This is the wood doing a great job of entertainment. This is the wood providing entertainment. Cool. Cuts down on how hard I have to work on it, right? Oh, good. So, this is all about the grandchildren coming to visit. And we want to be, you know, good grandparents and be entertaining, right? So, this will be part of the entertainment, and if things go right, they get to take a little project home. Which I'm sure throws the parents off completely. And I kind of like that too. All right, this is it. You made it through that part. We don't, as the old adage goes, have to actually wait for it to dry. We'll go home. Got things to do. But this is great. So, done this. I'm going to be really, really happy about having done this. It's also going to make sanding a lot easier. Because that just, you'll go shoo, 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 and that first sanding will be over with. No one have to be working the corners. This is a great move. It's a great move. A great plan on my part. I'm glad somebody mentioned it. Okay. Anyway, enough bullshit. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll get something done. For sure. And in the meantime, I'll close this up. I don't have to worry about getting dust on this stuff because it's going to get all sanded. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, thanks for watching. Remember your phone. Won't need the ruler, not tonight. Great. All right. Tomorrow.